Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Parth Doshi, UiPath Mumbai chapter lead and also UiPath MVP. Yeah, so I think you already know what is the session about today. We are going to talk about integration service and our speaker is Vino Livan. Hey Vino. Yeah,
Okay.
so before we get started or get into any of the technical topics and Q&As, I'll just quickly share my screen and there is one important thing that we all need to do. I think by the end of the session or post the session, you must do it is, let me just share my screen. And I believe everyone is seeing a lot of post with respect to this, with respect to the state of the automation professional survey. And I myself completed it yesterday only, but I think it is very important to complete this survey. Now, not only in terms of giving the feedback to UiPath or sharing your experience, but there are some questions that will your itself help you, analyze that what are the new tools that you should learn, what are the products that you can focus on. So as a developers, we normally spend more time on studio and there are some advanced products we work on as well. But other than that, there are a lot of products that are mentioned in this complete survey that you might feel like exploring and different mediums from which you can explore, right? Maybe it can be meetups or academic tutorials or anything as such, right? So there are multiple that kind of interesting questions. You don't have to write paragraphs. Most of them are like just multiple choice questions or a yes or no type of questions. So I'll just put the link of this in the chat and I'll urge everyone to complete this survey because it is very important to complete and you will yourself have a very positive feedback after completing this survey. Yeah. So this is one important thing that I wanted to talk about. And now going ahead with the session. So first of all, we don't want this session to be like just one-way communication, or maybe Vino is the strict teacher who is just presenting some topic and no one wants to ask any questions. We want it to be interactive, right? So please feel free to put your questions in the chat, unmute yourself or raise your hand and maybe we can take the questions in between the sessions or by the end of the session. And yeah, let's start this interesting topic. I think there are many updates as well coming in this. So yeah, we know. Over to you. We can get started.
Thank you so much, Parth. Hello, everyone. Good evening and good times again. And let us get started. So we'll be taking a look into next 45 minutes or 50 minutes we have into the integration service. So myself, Vino Livan, I will be the speaker for today's session. Along with me is Parth Doshi. And before I start ahead, special thanks to UiPath for giving us this opportunity. And also thanks to our partners, Accelerate and Wonderboard. So the next 50 minutes, we'll be getting to know more about integration services, why we need to use them, who will be the different personas who will be using integration service, how they can take a leverage of that, and the current product offerings we have, and the high level touch up on the architecture. And we'll be spending more of our time into the product demo and knowing the product with a couple of demo walkthroughs. So before we transit right further in knowing the modern API approach that is delivered by integration service, let us take a look back into the traditional way of building API automation, right? So let's say if you want to pass a data between different systems, you were ideally using the UI automation or you were using the API automation, right? For API automation, traditionally you were using the HTTP request activity. Now the downside of this one is, let's say if you want to upload a data to a SharePoint, you needed to know about the Microsoft Graph API, the endpoint, basically how it operates, right? If you want to pass the data either from a form of the query parameter or in the form of the body, even in the body, it can be times that where you're sending the data to a JSON or in an XML or in a raw format. So, underlying, you need to know about the underlying endpoint and how you need to communicate through them. And especially when you're doing the authentication through the endpoints, you are storing this credentials centrally in an asset. So, again, your COE or your support team needed to constantly monitor the asset for their expiry and update them. And whenever there is a code change on the existing APIs, You need to go back again to your code. You need to get that updates done, republish your code back to the orchestrator, and have it have it in implementation. Now you look at to all these pointers, you can see somewhere there is a lack of scalability, right? Yeah, even through this automation program, traditionally built, it was not so much adaptable in nature. And even when you talk about the triggering, we had only two type of triggers, that is your time-based trigger and your queue-based trigger. Let's say if I want to kickstart my process based on a new email arrival, I needed a dispatcher process that constantly monitors my inbox, and whenever a new email comes, it kickstarts the performance. So this is where our UI automation's latest capability comes in place. And cheers to UiPath. They have been always been adaptive and innovative. Whenever there is a challenge or whenever there is an innovation needed, they were always there to take up the challenge and deliver a product for us. So right now, when we speak about UiPath, we have best of both the worlds together. We have UI automation that is already a great tool on UiPath, and additionally, we have the API automations modern capability introduced using integration service. So right now, when you think about an end-to-end business scenario, right, you can make use of the UI automation on the legacy system where you don't have the API exposed, and whenever you have an API side, you can make use of the integration services so that the automations that is built right now, it is far more flexible, and you can scale up your automation program to a new heights. So speaking a bit more about the UiPath integration service, currently it is offered as a part of your automation cloud initiative. And in the integration service, you get a catalog of more than 100 plus connectors today. And even the list of connectors is growing ever since. I mean, each 2 weeks, UiPath comes up with a new connectors for their core systems. So you can readily see the connectors available for your CRMs like Salesforce, SAP, Oracle Suite, and even for your productivity applications like your Outlooks or Gmail or Google Drive. Now, the beauty about using the integration service is the ease of development. When you don't need to know any kind of backend knowledge about the APIs, how they actually perform, or how you need to send the data through the endpoints, right? Everything is taken care by the integration service. You just need to go to the platform, create your connection, provide your username and password, set up the connection at one place, and using the activities that is available in the studio, readily use them in your project. So that gives a lot more power to your other part of your citizen developers too, and the development experience, it is consistent across all the products, right? And speaking about the capability and the use cases it actually brings on table, it's far more than anything. uh, it is beyond any use cases that can be delivered in your iPaaS platform. Now, the people who are not much familiar with what is iPaaS, so it is type of a technology called integration platform as a service, wherein in the platform itself you get a capability of passing in the data to a different source system. Now, for the iPaaS, the limitation is that it can work only with the targeted API endpoint systems. But in the UiPath, since we already have a very fully matured platform for UI automation, you can take the information from different applications through in form of UI automation and pass it through a different APIs to integration service. And beyond that, you have the flagship product on UiPath, that is document understanding, that is able to take up any kind of information from your right from your structure to semi-structured document, put it onto a different source system like a Salesforce. And beyond that, you get this capability where different attended pods together can collect the information uh, based on any user's machine and send it out. And obviously, there is a capability to bring a human in the loop as well for adjusting the decision. And finally, all the end data that has been generated, you can parse to different systems by using the advanced capability on integration services. Now, who are the different personas who will be using integration service and how they can leverage it? Obviously, first, people like us, the developers, for us, it makes our life a lot more easier. Right now, I don't want to care about my API, the targeted endpoint, the targeted way of passing in the data. So I can, take a pause around the HTTP request activity. I can make use of the integration service activities pack, where there is a fully matured list of activities available. And in fact, if there are connectors are not available for my source system, right? I can readily build one of my custom connectors right in the integration service for my on-premise system. And once I am built with that, I can share it with my team. I can, use it across throughout my department. And another part is the COE and the central governance team. It makes the life a lot more easier, right? So right now they don't want to, look back to the asset, know when it is getting expired, maybe change that on a frequent interval. They don't have to do it. Everything is right now taken care by your integration service centrally in the cloud. And since it is built on UiPath, we get an enterprise grade security and compliance. And again, the beauty of using this integration service is the simplicity. It is open for any city, even for a citizen developer, they can just directly build their connection, use it across their studio projects. And in fact, there are already pre-built templates that is already available. They can leverage that, and that will make their the development effort a lot more quicker and easier. And I can just cover up this slide, and I can take a 2 minutes, just pause for any questions. So with the offering, it brings on a table, right? First one is the large library of connectors. So right now, when we are into the session, we have 100 plus connectors already available, and the list is growing ever since. And even if you don't have your connectors, you get an option to build your custom connectors for your on-premise system. And the part of maintaining the connection is far more easy, right? You just have to provide your username and password, or it can be your client ID and secret for your targeted application, and yeah, it is done. Once it is done, you can share it across with a set of users to in order to use them. And this is one of the far better capability that was been kind of limitation in so far with the UiPath. With part of the triggering, we didn't have something as a event-based trigger. Let's say I want to trigger a job based on a new entry been added to, let's say, to a SharePoint, okay, or to something like a Salesforce. That was kind of a limitation. I needed to have a dispatcher process constantly pulling out, but right now I don't need a dispatcher bot for that. It can taken care by the integration service itself. Whenever there is a change in my source system, I can set up a trigger in place so that it can, pull up a bot in production. And the other things are, obviously the part of the automation design experience, it gets a lot more easier. Just as I said, we don't need to worry about the complexity of the underlying architecture or underlying API endpoints. Just make use of the integration service activity, and the flexibility in using the integration service is far more better than the traditional way of doing things. And since it is built on UiPath, which has accredited with a lot of security certification, you don't need to worry about your security and your governance. Everything is taken care and stored securely in the automation cloud. So any questions so far with the capability around the integration service? Okay, we can proceed further. And if at all you have questions, we can put out in the chat, and we can get back on to that at a later point.
Yeah. Also, there could be a possibility that you are already using integration surveys and you might have some question with respect to that as well. So you can post that as well. Like there's nothing specific that you need to only ask about the 5 slides that we know talks about, but you can ask with respect to anything that you have any questions. Yeah.
Surely. And talking about the architecture of integration service, you can see on the bottom that's where your integration service is placed in your automation cloud. So everything with respect to defining your connections, and also it can be maintaining them, or making the authentication call, or making a API call to your targeted system. Everything is taken care even in centrally in the integration service. And the beauty about this one is, since it is built on UiPath, you get this flexibility of integrating this with any part of your other products, right? Let's say, I want to use it in my studio project. It is just, one click away. And let's say I want to use it in my app. By the way, for the integration with the app, it will be available in some couple of months. So that will open up a lot more opportunities where we can build a very much power-driven app, so that you don't want to interact with the bot itself. You can take the information directly from your end user And using the integration service capability, you can, put that into your targeted system. So I just wanted to keep the PPTs short so that we can spend more time in knowing this platform, going through the platform in depth. And I have two kind of use cases through which we can get to know about the integration service. And throughout this session, I mean the demo session also, if you have any questions, please feel to put that in the chat, or you can raise your hand so that I can take a pause and go through it. Okay.
Again, no? I actually had a question.
Yeah.
Like, can the UiPath integration services be used for both the cloud and on-premises system?
Yeah. Currently, UiPath integration services, it is hosted and it is part of your automation cloud offering. But let's say you have your on-premise system, right? You can build a custom connector for an on-premise system and connect it with your integration.
Okay.
Yeah, integration service now is only available for cloud. The custom connector is different thing, but the availability is only for cloud right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So time for the demo. So your integration service, it comes up with your cloud subscription, and even as your community member, you can actually take a look into the integration service and trial and test it out. So let me open up my cloud instance. Takes up a minute, and this is my integration service landing page. Right, when you can see here, all the integrations, I mean all the connectors are actually grouped together into specific folders, right? So this actually helps you a lot in part of your governance as well. Let's say you are defining your connectors as part of your one folder. It cannot be directly accessed to the user as part of the other folder. And right here you can see the different tabs available. Okay, first one is the connector. So here you can see all the list of out-of-box connectors developed by UiPath. Okay. So as I scroll down, you can see, and there are some of the source system you're already familiar with. You can already see the connectors available. So you can directly build your automation on top of that. And the second tab is the connection. Okay. So you can build up your connection on top of your any connectors. It is just one click away. Okay. So all you have to do is, let's say I want to set up a connection for Outlook. So just go to the Outlook. I have two of my connections already defined, but let's say I want to define a new connection. All you have to do is click on the add connection and give the relevant permission for UiPath on behalf of you to make the required permissions. And once you click on that, it will redirect you to a page where you have to select your account. Then that's it. Since I was already signed in with that account, it didn't ask for me the password. But yeah, you can see my connection is defined, and I can use this connection as part of my studio process, and I can readily use them as part of my doing automation as well. So you can see how easy it was. See, even as a business user, if I don't have any background of making an HTTP call, I can directly use this wizard in setting up the connection. And once you set up the connection, right, the next thing is you can directly use them in your studio projects. Okay. And before that, let me show you one more thing around the triggers. So once you set up your connection, right, you can set up any event-based trigger. Okay, let's say you want to trigger a process based on a new email arrival. Okay, so all I have to do here is add the trigger. In the connector, I can select the Microsoft Office 365 and I can use the connection that I have just defined now. And in the event, you can see the list of events that is supported by that object, by the Office 365 object. Now, this one will be different for different connectors. Okay. So here I can say that based on any new email arrival, okay, I can set up a process to run. And in more than that, I can add some filters as well. Let's say based on a new email arrival, I want to look up for a specific text on the subject line. Okay, I can do that by using the data filter option. So here I can go for the subject, the different options we have here. I will just say that the subject contains some sample text, and if it has a sample text, I can just select one of the process and I can execute them. For example, I'm selecting this process, then I can define how this needs to be run. Okay, whether it needed to be run on an unattended mode or an headless mode, or what type of runtime it should use, and accordingly, if I want, I can pass the input argument as well. Now, this is not only limited to Office 365. All your list of already defined. Let's say I want to do something on the Salesforce. Okay, I can make use of the connection. And people who are already aware of Salesforce or done any automation on that, you can know like there are different objects that is available, and based on the object that you have access to, okay, it will show up here, and based on any particular updates or creation, any kind of CRUD operation performed on that object, you can trigger up a bot to run. Now let us see a couple of demos through which you can try to learn more about this data. So the first demo I have here is called the Salesforce invoice generate use case. So basically, whenever a new account has been added to my Salesforce, okay, UiPath bot will be kicked out, and it will take the information from that Salesforce object. It will create an invoice document, and it will send out back to the customer for getting that payment done within the due date. So as part of
While you are explaining that, we know there's one question in the chat. I think it relates to triggers as well. So Pratik is asking that with triggers, can you create like scheduled triggers in integration service? So if you want a trigger to work only from a particular time, like maybe 8 to 10 or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pratik. Is that your question? I believe that is only the question.
Yeah, I believe that's the question. So currently we don't have that option to define the time range in which that trigger should be active. But
Right.
obviously you get this option called disabling the trigger. Okay. Let's say if you don't want to trigger when this particular trigger to be active on particular time frame, you can just disable that.
Just wanted to add something here. This is Dilip. I mean, you can define the timeline. I mean, if you want to sync it in 1 minute or 5 minutes, you can define that inside the connectors that you can do. You really can't define the time period, but you can define the trigger, how much time, I mean, at what time it should go ahead and pull the request.
Yep, obviously. So the default time frame, I think it is around 10 minutes, which is used to pull up the information from your targeted system. But as Dilip mentioned, you can obviously define the time range, then you have to define the pulling interval.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I think we can go ahead. Yeah, Pratik.
Yeah. The other question is, can we customize the event, especially with Salesforce or ServiceNow? So customize the event. Right now, we don't have an option to create a customized event. Whatever event that you can create is part of the trigger that is already been exposed, right? So let's say coming back to this example on Salesforce. So in the event, I get a list of event that is available for me for this particular connection. Okay, I can make use of that, but I cannot build a custom trigger for now. And on top of that, I can add some filters. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead with the demo, Vino.
Okay, perfect. So I think everyone got a glimpse of what is the use case we are trying to solve. So coming back to the Salesforce. So Salesforce, I have my account object open. Okay. So here what I'll try to do is create a new entry. And once I create a new entry, within a time frame like 10 minutes, I can see my bot up and running. Okay. I already have the process in place and the triggers in place. Just to go back in my integration service, I have a trigger in place for my Salesforce. This particular trigger will be kicked out whenever a new account is created in my Salesforce connection. Okay. So let us see this live in action. So let me add an account name for, let's say, stock industry. The rating I can keep it as hot. Give some sample phone number, and that will be good. And street I can just mention it as Florida. The country I can give as US. Save. So your new account has been created in Salesforce, and within some time I can see process getting kicked out, and that process basically will, if I want to give a little bit clarity more onto this process and how it can use its integration service in Studio. So here it is. So this Studio process basically will is using the integration service activity on your Salesforce. So basically, this is how your integration service activity will be looking like on any particular targeted system. You'll be basically having a container, and in the container, you can configure which particular connection you want to use it for your development purpose and which one you will be using at a production level. Okay. So this is where your governance comes into play. I can use a different system which is having a kind of less exposure to my production application, my design time, and I can use my actual connection that has the granted permission and the elevated permission on my runtime. And once that is done, I can use those activities that is readily available. Okay. So imagine doing all this using the HTTP request activity. It will be a lot more painful for you, right? So right now, if I search for the Salesforce, all these are a part of my integration service activity pack. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the record that the user has created. Okay. And here, the details that the user has are filling in, I'm storing that into a different variables. Okay. So this event object you can see on the top, right? That is the account I'm getting it from as part of my input argument. Okay. All other parameters, I'm getting it from that object itself. I'm storing it into a respective variables. And once that is done, I'm doing some automation just to take out the information, fill it out to my Word file template. And finally, I'm creating a PDF file out of it. And at the last, again, I'm using the integration service activity pack for sending an email. Okay. So let me go back to the orchestrator and see if it is kicked out. Ideally, it takes like the pulling interval right now is defined as for 10 minutes. It will take up some time. So in the meanwhile, we can just address some of the questions.
Let's see if anyone has any questions. Okay, so we know one question that we already had all these integrations possible with UiPath, right? Like Salesforce is there, or there are any multiple applications that we could still integrate. So Now, how do you identify the packages, or like the same packages are being updated? How will you identify that particular things in Studio packages? Like for
Like,
Gmail, Outlook, we had the activities, I'm sure of since a long time.
mhm.
So where is that specification that this is for integration service or something like that?
Okay, good question actually. Even that is same applicable for your Salesforce and also for your Office 365. You get a
Okay,
traditional way of doing the client ID and payment
right.
secret, and based on that, it does the operation. So there is a specific activity that you need to install for your targeted system, and that specific activity you can get as part of your documentation.
Okay.
So here, I'm using the Salesforce activity, and even the other version of this, it is not working, doesn't use the integration service,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
even we go with the package, here in the description, you can make it out. This version requires the integration service, right?
All right. All right. All right. Yeah, because like initially we used to do using passing the
Yep.
API credentials and all that. So
Mhm.
now there has to be the okay. 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 I think the bot is executing as well.
Yep.
All right.
So meanwhile, it is executing. Just one maybe basic question from my side. We already had an external applications option in the orchestrator, which we could register APIs with, and we can integrate. Though it is an you could trigger the jobs from the external application.
Mhm.
So what do you think? Which is more easier? Because uh, there it is a little customizable, which I feel is a little customizable. I have not used integration service to a large extent, but the customization is more feasible there. So what is your thought on that?
Mhm. Okay. We know you want to take that or
Yeah, I can just give a little bit on that, and Faz, we can take it up.
yeah. Yeah.
So basically, we register our external application in the orchestrator or in my automation cloud. If I want to use the orchestrator services on the third-party system, okay. Today I'm building an application. I want to start a bot right from the third-party application. For that, I have to register my application in my automation cloud in order to make use of the orchestrator APIs. Whereas integration service is the other way around. If I want to pass some data right from my UiPath bots, that's where I'll be using my integration service. I'll be defining the connection to my integration service. That's what you can add.
Okay. And also other thing, yeah, external applications definitely will allow you with little bit of more customizations. But here what is happening is any enterprise grade applications, I think there are more connectors definitely coming in, and in the MVP summit as well, we had more highlights on this. So now here what it will do, it will simplify the way you work with all these different applications. So like if you just compare Salesforce activities without integration service and with integration service, so there will be a huge difference there. You have to in your multiple times, if you are using the scope, you have to specify the credentials, the API endpoints and all that. So here all that efforts are getting reduced. You don't even have to look for what APIs are available for Salesforce, and we can just simply use the events and different functionalities that are available. So maybe that is the reason that integration service will make the integration with other enterprise grade applications more easier and having more benefits over external applications.
Agreed. So anything specific we need to register at the while we using for specific application? Do we need to enable something at the application end or something like that specifically just
No,
to know?
no, nothing specific. Like now, obviously, it will depend on application to application.
Yep.
Like in Google, like in Gmail and Outlook, you just do account sign in and your connection is created. In case of Salesforce or something else or any other application, in some cases, you might need a client ID and secret for one time.
Yep.
right? So it will depend based on the application, but I think that also should be easier. And each of the application that is available in integration service has a documentation linked to it of how you can get their credentials. So that will make the task easier for you, Aditya.
Understood. Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, we have one question from Raju. So he says like how we are triggering a bot based on Salesforce account creation. What if I want to create account in Salesforce? So can you use Salesforce activities for that as well to create an account in Salesforce?
Similarly, we have this option for inserting a record, right? Even more than that, you can update your existing record as well.
Update record, right?
Yep. So we have all those capabilities built in this. Basically, whatever
Okay.
CRUD operation, right? Create, read, update, delete on any of the object, you can perform using integration service.
All right, all right. I hope that answers your question, Raju.
Yes, Parthu, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Yeah.
Okay, just to complete this demo, I got my email and also the invoice generated. If I just open it, I can just get all the information that was submitted in my code. Okay. So this hardly took me some time to build it. Imagine building this traditionally using the API endpoint. How much painful it has been. So development, it gets a lot more simplified, and the flexibility that you get using this, the activities pack and the connection is a lot more better. As Parth mentioned, right, I don't want to make different activities or make different workflows, and there I can invoke the client ID, the secret. Just one place, create everything and use it across all of your development projects.
I'm pretty sure if I would be going by traditional method, till now I will be still searching for the API key only or the APIs to use to perform that particular operation.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
any
so
questions?
anyone having any questions in this on what built or how quickly he could just integrate another enterprise application with UiPath and perform a single trigger based automation? Does anyone have any questions around that? If not, we'll go ahead with other demo or presentation that Vino has prepared.
Yeah, I think we can proceed further and circle back for any questions.
Yep. Let's go ahead then. Yeah.
So the second part is a lot more interesting, and it is built around ChatGPT. So it is for one of the customer use case. Let's say we are sitting right in India, but we may have customers located in different geographies. So similarly, just imagine a situation where a customer is sitting on Japan and is trying to put out an email in Japanese saying that this is the issue he is facing, right? And based on that, I have to interpret it and I have to make sense of what is the issue, right? And after that, I'm creating a ticket in the Jira for this issue and assigning it back to my team to work. So the ChatGPT integration, it is built in my integration service. If I go to the connectors and search for OpenAI, I can get this OpenAI ChatGPT integration. For using this, I just need the API key. Okay, the API key can be, scrapped from the place or going to the developer page of the ChatGPT, and you can get the API key from there. It is free for use, so you don't need to pay anything. You can give a try on this. So basically, we are using this ChatGPT to make sense of what is the customer's request, and using the different connectors like the Jira, the Outlook, we are performing the operation. Okay. So this, I've built this using the Studio Web. So giving a little bit on the Studio Web, it is again a developer IDE, but this one is completely based out in browser. If you have not taken a look onto the Studio Web, I would recommend to give this for a try. It is far more easy. Just imagine if you want to build a document understanding project using your Studio Web, you can just build that in 10 minutes. You don't need to worry about the entire DU framework. So you can imagine, like, the simplicity of the development experience is far more better in Studio Web. So I recommend you all to give a try. So here I built up this project. Basically, what it does is whenever a new email has been arrived on my shared inbox, okay, I'm getting the data from that body of that email, okay, and later on I'm just passing that to the chat GPT, and from the response I'm getting it back from the chat GPT, right? Um, I'm just taking out the value that I'm looking out for, and I'm creating an issue in my Jira, okay. And again, once I'm done with that, I'm replying back to the same email saying that your response has been logged into Jira, and a team will be assigned for that to take it forward. So in order to simulate this, I'm going to do it live. I'll just run this couple of times. So wish me luck. I'm going to send an email. So just for this time, imagine I am from Japan and I'm typing something in Japanese. So you're not able to make a sense of what is this is, but let me translate this one for you. Okay. So I'm from Japan. I'm not sure about my English. So I'm just writing out an email and sending out to my customers. So the email has been sent. Let me go back to the studio and run this. And even for running this, you don't need to have a robot connected. Everything runs on the headless. So first your project gets packed, it gets deployed on something like serverless machines. Okay, since everything is going good, awesome. We were able to do a successful live run. So coming back to my Jira, let me refresh this page. Okay, so here an incident just got logged here. And if I can see, using the chat GPT, I was able to make sense of what is the customer's uh, request is. And here it actually got translated to Latin language. And I can see the description. And after that, I can just assign a technician to work on this request. And if I go back to my Outlook, I received an email. Let me go back and translate what is this. Makes sense. The ticket has been created. So you can see, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can do a lot more things using the integration service. And imagine, building all these things in like a few minutes. How cool is that, right?
This is super awesome. Like utilizing serverless automation and that also integrating with this is, I think, yeah, this makes the way for a lot of potential use cases as well, I believe. Like I'm pretty sure post this session will have many people putting LinkedIn post on exploring the open AI connector in Studio Web.
Yep, obviously. And
Yeah.
here you can see we are making use of OpenAI, Jira, Outlook,
Right.
all of them, and building an automation, let's say in 10 minutes.
Yes. Even I have one idea to make a tutorial for my YouTube channel.
Okay, Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is really great use case. Even I was not aware that you are going to show this, but yeah, this is really awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we know. Let's go ahead. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
So that's most part of our presentation. And if you want to know more about this integration service, there is a white paper available. And even if you want to know about how we can build your custom integration service connector, right? You can join the preview. Right now, it is not available as a GA, but obviously you can sign up for that and you can give a try. And more information about the integration service is available in the official website.
Right. Yeah. I think this is good. And I believe like each of the documentation as well is pretty much easy to understand on fundamental level of the connectors that we have in integration service. I have used few of them, but yeah, it has like pretty good documentation to get the credentials and just get started with building some automation.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So what we can recommend is, you go back, enable this integration service in your community instance, give a try, explore the list. I mean, give a try with the Studio Web again as well. See
Right.
how much easy it is to set it up and use it in action.
Right. Yeah, maybe I think we have more 10-15 minutes left with us. Does anyone want to share their screen and just live build whatever we learned in the session for any of the one connector? Maybe we can just go with any simple connector. Does anyone wants to do that? Maybe this is something I'm trying for first time in any community session, like just implementing right after this session. But if anyone wants to do it, I think we can open the stage for that and try doing something like that. And obviously it is not a interview test or something. Vino is there to help us as well. And yeah, maybe le- let's give it a minute, Vino, if someone volunteers.
Yeah, we can build a very simple thing like taking a data from an Excel and just storing it in a notepad or something like that.
Yeah, maybe or on an email trigger, downloading an attachment and saving it.
Yep.
Maybe, yeah, that should be good. I think that should not take more than 5-10 minutes to develop.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see if someone is volunteering for it. This is something that makes the community session fun. Like we always have this kind of things happening where a speaker comes or a supporter like me for the speaker comes and ask few questions in between, but maybe we can try something new. We know we don't want any paid audience from your organization. We want someone else to volunteer. So yeah,
We can give a minute.
let's see if anyone is raising their hand. Dilip, if no one raises hand, then you have to do it.
I have a call. I'm dropping off.
Nice reason to get back.
Aditya has unmuted himself.
No, I would have loved it, yeah, but I have joined it via phone. Otherwise, I would have done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still I'll wait for a minute or two. Arjun has unmuted himself. Hey Arjun.
Hi Parth. Hi Vino. So I do have a use case, but I'm not sure whether it falls under the umbrella of this particular integration service. So basically, we have a website where vendors will be uploading the invoices, and using some web services in the backend, these particular invoices will be automatically pushed to IBM DataCap, like for further data extraction. So we are trying to bring this particular use case into document understanding. And is there any possibility that we can create a custom connector whenever a user or whenever a vendor uploads a data into website, and these connectors will help us bring the data into document understanding? Is there a way around?
Yeah, obviously. There is a way where you can build a custom connector even for your on-premise system itself. Let me share my screen again. Go back to integration service. So right now it is not part of your GA. It's part of your preview itself. So you get this option of creating a connector. Okay. So if you connect, I mean, your application, it has the API exposed, right? You can actually build a connector on top of it. So basically, your APIs will follow a set of schema in place. So the schema file, you can directly upload it here, and basically it will create the definition for you. Or else if you want to start it right from the scratch, you can define your application and you can define your things like your endpoints, the different requests like your get, post, how the information is sent out, things like that. You can define it here and your connectors will be readily built. But the important thing here is the application they are trying to pull here must have the API exposed.
Yes, thanks, Vino. Actually, I got some insights on this here.
Yep.
Thanks.
And the DU part, right? It is already pre-built in your Studio Web itself.
Yes.
So whatever
got it.
project you can, and any particular model, if you want to leverage, just send out the documentation. Send out the document, and in the response, you will get all the schema that is getting pulled up from that model.
Yes. Thank you, Vino. Thanks, team.
Yeah. Thank you, Arjun. Let's see. We don't have volunteers, but let's see if we have any other questions or we can. Also, Vino, can you let me share screen? I'll just talk about the next event as well we have upcoming.
Yep, sure.
Uh, all right. So by the time you guys ask question about integration service too, we know we have one more upcoming event that is going to be UiPath apps. But I think previously we had one bootcamp of UiPath apps, but this time we are having something more on enterprise level, that how you can deploy UiPath apps and the best practices to follow during that. So already RSVPs have started and we have 36 RSVP. But yeah, you can register for this event. It's happening on 16th May at 4 p.m. IST. So do register for this event as well. I have shared the link in the chat. So yeah, I hope to see you in that event as well. So I'll stop sharing my screen and get back to our topic for today. So I don't see anyone raising their hands, or if anyone has any other questions, then maybe we can utilize Vino's time and ask that questions, or else we can end the session in next 5 minutes. Or in general, if you want to ask about anything, maybe if it is focused on integration service, it is more better. But yeah, in general, if there is anything with respect to community you would like to ask, then you can ask that as well.
Yep, sure.
It seems like you teached a very serious topic and now everyone is just thinking that what has
Yeah,
we-
how we can use this, right? So how we can, get back and play around with this.
yeah. Let's see. Okay. Everyone is making it a very serious session. Maybe just anyone can unmute and talk about what new you are implementing, or what is the latest product that you are exploring, or anything specific that you would like us to conduct a session on, so we can think on that topic and conduct a next session on that topic as well. Maybe you
Yeah.
can ask about that things as well. So maybe me and Vino can explore that and we can come up with that kind of sessions as well. Or there are other speakers. I have few in this call as well, whom I'm going to reach out to be speakers in further sessions. But yeah, if you have any specific topic, then maybe you can say that.
From this side.
Hey Shivam, yeah.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Vinod. Thanks for the session. Like, it was quite good to understand, like, new to me. So, yeah, thanks a lot. And just one more thing to ask, like, is there any session coming on communication mining? Like, we got to know that, like, it's coming into UiPath. That it was like earlier it was RInfo. It's been a communication mining. So we are looking into that, like, kind of doing some POC. So, is there any session coming onto it? Like, any things that we can get to know more about it?
Right. So Right now, there is nothing planned in Mumbai chapter that we are doing on communications mining. But yeah, I'll just check if there are any sessions happening on that, and maybe I can share you the link over LinkedIn or something. I'll just have a look at that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, again, I think that's a great point, right? Um, communication mining is new and it has been a very much hot topic in automation itself. Definitely, we can, Parth, we can circle back and we can think about
Right.
it.
Yes,
upcoming-
definitely. Yeah, we can think about it, and probably in post the app session, we can plan on something on that as well. We can definitely do that.
And also,
Thanks, Vic.
apart from that, if you feel, guys, if you have any kind of use cases that is kind of bit challenging and you want to, let us know how to choose these products, right? Right now, we have many products even in the UiPath ecosystem itself. Any particular challenges that you're facing with your use cases, and if you want us to deliver a session on that, then let us
Hi, Vinod. I have
know.
some doubts from test suit.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, what I observed is where we can use testing it is like a totally dedicated to application testing, and whenever some new apps are built at that time, or is it we can even use it in our normal processes which we develop for clients, because we have lot of trainings, but the activities available are only four activities are there, and those activities are we can normally, without those activities also we can verify the cases, whether the cases have been passed or not. It's like a normal development, but is it totally dedicated to application development which we do from a scratch and from go to a final stage of it? Is it totally for that, or we can even use it in our normal processes?
Yeah, I got your question. I'm going to keep it short, but if you want to know more about the test fit, obviously we can connect personally. So the test fit product on itself, it is much more than your RPA testing. It is also focused as part of your application development testing. You can do any number of your regression testing or functional testing. You can run your defense cycle on that. It is much more than just normal testing. Right? So the use cases are endless. Almost all the things that an organization is doing right now as part of their testing, they can do that with part of your UI for testing. But obviously, if you want to know more about TestFit, how it can be leveraged, capability, you can connect to me personally in LinkedIn as well. So I
Okay,
think we are 3 minutes overdue. Part. Do you want to conclude anything that you can wrap it up?
No, I think we are good with the session. Anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us post sessions as well. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn. We know I shared the link, and I hope most of us are already connected via LinkedIn. But yeah, please feel free to reach out to us and do attend community events like this, and see you all in the next session, which is happening on 16 May with respect to UiPath apps. Thank you so much everyone for being a part of these sessions, and yeah, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you. And definitely thank you, Vino, for taking this session and showing interesting use cases. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.